So with all of the recent Borderlands 4 footage we've been getting, we have gotten a look at a couple legendary weapons. So that's what I want to go over in this video. I want to go over these legendary weapons, all the different roles we got to see for them, and also go a bit over how the legendary weapons are going to work with the license parts system of Borderlands 4. Now, we've only gotten a look at two legendary weapons. One is level 20, and one more interestingly is level 5 and wasn't even supposed to show up how it showed up. But the really interesting part about the level 5 legendary is that it only has two different roles on it. It has its legendary weapon part, and then it has another randomly rolled weapon part. Now, we have gotten it confirmed that low level weapons won't be always rolling with a lot of perks on them. You could get like an epic weapon at level 5, and it could only have one weapon part roll on it. But as you start to get higher and higher level, the things have higher chances to give more of those mods. I'm assuming at breakpoints they'll start to guarantee a certain amount of weapon parts on them. Now, it does also seem that you still can get low level weapons with a lot more weapon parts on it, but I think the idea with this is that you feel the progression a lot more as you're leveling up and getting weapons with more weapon parts on them, which would just be massive power increases. Now, on top of all of this, we do also have other information on how these different systems are going to work. One of the main ones when talking about legendary weapons is that legendary weapons are going to have less random rolls than, let's say, epic weapons, because epic weapons in Borderlands 4 will be able to have 4 different randomly rolled weapon parts, because epic weapons are basically fully random, and legendary weapons will have 3 random parts and 1 legendary part. Their legendary part will never change. That also means that legendary weapons will actually be less RNG dependent than if you're trying to get some specific epic roll. And this was actually something the developers want to specifically do, so legendary weapons have a bit more RNG involved to get the roll you actually want. So first we can start off with the level 5 legendary weapon, which is the Vestigial Complex Root. So the Complex Root is returning. This is like one of the craziest legendary weapons in any Borderlands game. It actually has its legendary perk on it, and it tells you what it does, which is really cool. And it's called Sierpinski, and it spawns additional diverging projectiles along its path. So basically what the Complex Root has always done. Its second weapon part roll is a Maliwan, and it's a Maliwan switch between shock and corrosive, which is also going to be pretty crazy for this sniper. And keep in mind, because this is a level, it only has these 2 rolls on it, but you could get the Complex Root with 2 other randomly rolled weapon parts as well that could have crazy amounts of additional effects. Like there's presumably the possibility of also getting, like, say, a Torg magazine, which would add sticky rounds to this. So there's just a ridiculous amount of things that could potentially happen to this weapon. That's also one of the best parts of this new license parts system, is you can just get these legendary weapons, especially with some crazy returning legendary weapons like this, and just have these 3 randomly rolled elements on them that can just completely change up how this weapon works. Because I said this in previous videos, but in Borderlands 4, because of the new weapons part system, you could have 4 of the same legendary weapon equipped, and each 4 of these weapons could work completely differently. Outside of the base of their legendary weapon part, it could do so many different things, have different elements, have different aspects to it. It could be completely different, which, while can take a lot of grinding, is just completely ridiculous. And also means that one legendary weapon could be used for a lot more builds because there's so much RNG built into it, so many possibilities. You could have 4 different builds that do completely different things, and you could get complex root rolls that are really good for each one of those builds. And the second legendary weapon we got a look at is a level 20 legendary weapon. So this has 3 total rolls on it. And this is the prescription only Omnivore Husky Friend, which is a legendary shotgun. Its legendary power is Alt Fire, which is the Husky Auto Turret. Now, it doesn't explain anything else about that, and I'm pretty sure that's because this doesn't really need explaining. We don't know what the Husky Turret specifically does, but this is a TDR weapon. So it's a legendary weapon where when you reload, you throw out auto auto turrets. What's also really interesting is it also has another TD or weapon roll on it that's a replica javelin. It throws 2 weapons that propel forward at high speed. So this seems to be an augment of the base legendary, which is another TD or on top of that, that will turn your Husky auto turret into these javelin versions that throw them at much higher speed. They'll still turn into the turret, but it also throws 2 at the same time, which will also be ridiculous because if this legendary weapon is even decent at kind of a base roll, now just doubling up the amount of auto turrets you're throwing out when you reload could be ridiculous. But it also has a third roll on it, which is Jacob's licensed accessory. Critical hits will ricochet bullets to nearby enemies. So that again is also pretty crazy. So with this, you now have a legendary weapon where when you reload, it throws out these legendary auto turrets that are going to run around and shoot things. And with the other TDR roll, you throw those very fast and it throws 2 at a time now. So 2 turrets at a time, and all of those turrets and you just using the shotgun can now ricochet crits all around. And one of the most interesting things with this is using some additional information we have is one of the new gear items called enhancements that are replacing artifacts from previous games. Now enhancements are basically there to buff up a specific weapon manufacturer or type of weapon you want to use or really like to use. And it's not only buffing up that specific manufacturer, but it's buffing up weapons with that manufacturer's weapon parts on it. And one of them we got to see was for Jacob's, where hitting non-crits also has a chance to ricochet rounds. So if you use that enhancement, you now have a legendary shotgun that when you reload, it throws out these auto turrets. Could also do something crazy themselves, that now you throw those auto turrets very quickly and you throw 2 at a time. Then now if those auto turrets crit, they ricochet rounds. And then if you're using the enhancement, all of their normal rounds also have a chance to just ricochet around. And keep in mind, this weapon doesn't even have a 4th roll on it. So you could potentially also get like some Maliwan switch or something to now have all these auto turrets you throw out that are ricocheting all these bullets all around. That could also be some type of element. And because Maliwan switches have 2 elements, you could potentially get that and throw out auto turrets as like corrosive and then throw out more auto turrets as like cryo or something. So there is just so many ridiculous combinations just looking at this one weapon with one other piece of gear added in. Borderlands 4 is just going to be completely ridiculous with a lot of the mixtures and build creation. But to my knowledge, that's all of the legendary weapons we've gotten to take a look at so far, and even just this small amount with low-level legendary weapons is definitely giving you a glimpse into how crazy Borderlands 4 is actually going to be. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.